Viserys Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Andals and the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne.
Welcome to the Unreal Hour.
Hi, welcome to our show. I'm Fiona.
And I'm Emma. We're covering the first episode of Season 1 of House of the Dragon, titled The Heirs of the Dragon.
The episode was directed by Miguel Sapochnik. It was written by Ryan Condal. Those two are both showrunners co-showrunners for this season.
Oh, awesome.
And next season, it's just Ryan Condal that's
cool.
showrunner for season 2. So I thought that was quite interesting. So Miguel directed this episode. He's responsible for Game of Thrones, of course, Altered Carbon, Iron Fist, Revolution, which I loved. Did you see Revolution?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, I really loved it, but it was one of those shows that got cancelled on a big, massive cliffhanger after season 2.
Oh.
And I was really disappointed not to see the end of that because it looked like it was going in a good direction. He's also responsible for Banshee, which is another one that's on my list. I've seen the first couple of episodes. I thought it was amazing. But I just was watching too many things at the time and I've never got round to getting back to it. What about yourself?
No, I've never seen it, but again, it's on my list.
It's been recommended.
It has, multiple times.
So maybe need to give that a watch at some point.
Yeah, I think so.
Ryan Condal is responsible for Colony. There was a few others there, but I didn't take a note of that. I don't recognise the TV shows then. I don't feel like I've got any right to comment on it.
Me too, I would agree with that.
The music was written by the fabulous Ramin Djawadi, of course, who's responsible for the Game of Thrones theme and music of Game of Thrones.
That's so exciting.
I know, he is fabulous. He likes a lot of strings and cello.
It totally works, though.
It does so much. The music of Game of Thrones was absolutely outstanding. So knowing that they've got the same guy going into House of the Dragon inspires me with confidence of lots of moving, epic music, with string crescendos. And yes, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. So Ramin Djawadi is responsible for Clash of the Titans, Iron Man. He does games as well. There was a couple of the Medal of Honor games, TV shows, Prison Break, Westworld.
Awesome.
And I won a couple of Emmys for those, a couple of Game of Thrones episodes as well.
Did he?
Particularly my favourite, the Long Night. I do love that episode. I do love the music. So,
but that one's your favourite. So
that's my absolute favourite. That's my standout. So glad to have Miguel back on board for the episode by episode music and not just the theme. And that's so cool. What did you think of the episode overall, Emma?
The episode was great.
It really was. I thought it was a fantastic opening to the show.
I think because we've waited so long since Game of Thrones finished to this starting, it's very reminiscent.
It definitely is.
And it brings you right back to Westeros.
Oh, I did. I got all those exciting buzzies, seeing all the little bits that were, King's Landing and...
That opening scene.
Oh, the opening scene. Well, before we get into the opening scene, though, let's discuss that little intro just before with the council.
Yep.
Because that ties right into where we left off in our intro episode. So that council scene, I mean, what stood out for me immediately was Harrenhal in all its glory and ruin.
Particularly the ruin for me, it was amazing.
Oh, definitely. You just see what Valerian and Aegon the Conqueror did to that place. And it was so huge. and imposing. I just thought it was absolutely stunning despite being a ruin.
Yeah, and so far on from when it happened.
Yeah.
Yet that's still in use.
Yeah,
however,
exactly.
in a ruined state.
Even still in Game of Thrones time, which is 300 years after it's been ruined, people are still getting that Lord of Harrenhal title, which is apparently cursed because everyone that gets it dies not long afterwards. So, but it was great to see Harrenhal properly, because we never really did in Game of Thrones. We saw scenes with Arya in the courtyard and Tywin and having meetings in some random room within the building, but we never really saw
the full extent.
Oh, I know. It was breathtaking, to be honest with you. So they were discussing there, basically bringing the viewers up to speed in a couple of paragraphs.
Nice to see King Jaehaerys.
It was lovely to see Jaehaerys there, even though he never got a line, but he looked the part. He certainly did, sitting there on his throne. The council itself, that what it was there for was to decide the succession.
Yeah.
As Jaehaerys had lost his 2 older sons. It said in the title that he'd lost both his sons, which is a slight embellishment on what's written in the books, because he had another son. He was Vagon, I think. He was the 3rd son, but he wanted nothing to do with ruling. He wanted nothing to do with dragons. He became a Septon.
Oh.
So he was suggested briefly, and he was like, no way, I'm not doing that. So they didn't even mention him at all in the show, because he's not really necessary.
No. So you have Viserys on one side and Rhaenys on the other side.
Yes. Viserys looked a little nervous.
He did.
Look, he wasn't coveting the role at all. He looked a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to see. Right from the start, he looked very, very hesitant. So what did you think of that scene in comparison to what you'd read in the book?
I think visually how they bring out the scroll with the who it's going to be. And at that time, Jaehaerys was very old. He lost Alysanne. And the look on his face, he looks a bit surprised. It totally depicts old lost man.
Yeah.
And he sort of opens the scroll up, and I thought the look on his, he looked confused.
Oh, he
and surprised. Bless him.
It was a vote. And if I remember rightly, it was 20-1 Viserys. I know that the Baratheons and the Starks, of notable family names, both backed for Rhaenys' claim. Although in the book, it wasn't Rhaenys that who was being decided against Viserys, was it? It was her younger son. Laenor. That's the one. So Rhaenys wasn't sitting there looking for herself to be chosen as next in line. She was hoping for it to go through her to her son.
I actually think it was her unborn child at that point, and they didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, but they were pretty certain that it would be an heir.
Yes.
But it turned out to be Laena. They had Laenor 2 years later.
Oh, right. Yeah. Now it's coming back to me now. Thanks. That was a wee twist there. But I think it just simplified it.
Yeah.
It really did. So that looked absolutely amazing and got us all up to speed very quickly on these initial main characters.
I love that it's Emma Darcy that does the voiceover.
Yes.
So older Rhaenyra.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. Because you're going in and you don't realise who's doing the voiceover until she says, Viserys, my father.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. So Emma Arryn is pregnant in this scene. I believe this is one of the babes that she lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe Rhaenyra was about 4 years old at the time of the Great Council.
Mm-hmm.
And then we jump forward at this point to our opening scene which is 11 years later. It says on the screen that it's 9 years. That's the 9th year of Viserys' rule. But Jaehaerys actually died a couple of years after the Great Council. So it then becomes an 11-year time jump, which was 172 years before Robert's Rebellion. So that is quite a distance to before Game of Thrones, which just that in itself just immediately like, yes, I love a good prequel. I don't know about you.
What a ground to cover there.
Yeah, definitely. Which is why we had to do a prequel episode to do this, because we love a good prequel. So let's get into it. Let's talk about that opening scene.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Above the clouds. And then you see the dragon, you hear the dragon roar.
Oh, it's so cool. Absolutely was.
And then you've got 15-year-old Rhaenyra, and she's on dragon back.
Definitely. I love the way as the dragon's flying in over King's Landing. I love those wide shots that we got of the city. As we're coming in, we saw the dragon pit in all its glory, because the dragon pit, as we know it in Game of Thrones, was a ruin by this point. Yeah. So to see the dragon pit in all its glory, those super wide shots of the city that just the scale was on another level to anything we saw in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and I think it really rings true the time that it was.
Yes.
Being on Dragonback, and that's the view that the Targaryens had of the world.
From up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. I like that. So the set as well. The set is just like once you get down onto the ground and then you start to see the streets. The Red Keep itself was just absolutely phenomenal. I don't think we've ever had any good shots like that of it before.
No, I don't think we have.
It was so familiar, like so new.
Yeah. At
the same time, I think they did a really, really, really good job of taking us to a new level visually just in those first couple of minutes. It's absolutely outstanding. The other thing that really stood out for me, which comes later on, of course, but the Iron Throne.
The Iron Throne was fantastic. We've never seen it like that.
Never. It's just the throne itself without all those extra swords going down the stairs. And it was just epic. I actually found that very first scene when Rhaenyra walks in to talk to Daemon and they're talking in High Valyrian.
Yeah.
And I had to rewind it because I couldn't read the High Valyrian, well, the subtitles, because I was too busy looking at the throne.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to rewind it the first time I watched it because I had no idea what the dialogue was. Went right over my head. What did you think?
No, I was pretty much the same, apart from the scene itself totally set up the creepy uncle vibes.
Oh, it did.
With the weird Valyrian steel necklace and, you know, the weird putting it on her like she's his girlfriend and that whole sort of, yeah.
It was very creepy uncle as the way he looks at her.
Yeah.
It's,
Matt Smith's totally got the creepy uncle vibe down.
He certainly does. I would never have thought it of him prior to that scene.
Doctor Who is not creepy uncle.
No, definitely not. But he definitely gave off the right vibes.
Yeah.
I think
he played the part well.
That is the part that I believe he was supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
So, he did a great job of that. So, we've got this amazing brand new set, improved CGI. We're only a couple of minutes in and we've already had some dragon flight. Yeah, I'm so excited. So let's talk about some more of the characters, actually. We've already talked about Daemon and his creepy uncle vibes. Rhaenyra would probably be the next thing to go on. What was your initial impressions of Rhaenyra?
Oh, she's obviously quite a willful girl, isn't she?
Yeah, definitely.
It's her relationship with Alicent that bugs my happiness.
Right, let's get that out of the way because I know it annoys you.
The age difference is all wrong. The vibe is all wrong. You know, she's not her friend that's of a similar age. She's 11 years older.
Yeah.
And I absolutely get the scene where she's being her teacher and she's reading the histories and she's encouraging her to take an interest in her studies. But it's more played off that they're good friends, and that's not the case in the book. But cool, for the series, I'll go with it. I just had to get that out there.
Well, from what I picked up was that in the books that Alicent nursed Jaehaerys in his final days.
Yeah, her
final
father
months.
asked her, didn't he?
Yeah.
Otto Hightower was like, when she was 15, go and...
She used to bathe him and read to him and to keep him company and things like that in his final days. And I think rather than establishing that relationship with Jaehaerys, because they're kind of just skipping over Jaehaerys, they've chose to play it out similarly with the way she is with Viserys after losing his wife. So, they've mixed that up a little bit to give Alicent her place. And
there's a great moment at the beginning where she is she going into her carriage when she's come off of Dragonback? And she speaks to Alicent, and Syrax is being sent off to go chill.
Yeah.
And Syrax looks at Alicent as if, you're a bitch.
Yeah, I didn't see that until we had our rewatch there together. Yeah. You pointed it out. My initial impressions of Alicent, to be honest with you, were, I mean, the way she's coming across in the show, not the books. But my initial impressions of her, she was just coming across like a really sweet girl.
She's a sweet girl that's lost her mother.
Yeah.
And she's been manipulated.
Absolutely.
And she's found a friend in Rhaenyra because she doesn't have any other females in her life.
Yes, and that's exactly the way I see her. She's a sweet girl she doesn't seem to have any political aspirations or social climbing ideas at the moment at all. I believe as her father is, for want of a better expression, pimping her out.
Yeah.
He really is. It's for his own ambition and his own social climbing. Alicent is not offending me at this time. I mean, I know that may change, but for now, she's coming across as a really, really, really sweet girl. Daemon, as we said, was coming across as creepy uncle, but there's so much more to that character.
Viserys comes across as quite a good king.
He does. I think he's quite indecisive.
Yeah.
I think he goes along with what people are suggesting to him when he goes for the easiest option as well. There's that scene at the very first council meeting where Corlys is trying to make them understand that the pirates are a problem, and Hightower is dismissing it as it's not a problem yet. Viserys is just, okay, right, well, we don't need to talk about that anymore. And then Otto completely manipulating. Targaryen goes, well, would you like to talk about the tourney for your heir? And Viserys is like, yes, I would very much love that. That sounds fabulous. Because he just he doesn't want to deal with the big decisions.
Yeah.
I think he likes that when things just roll along and he doesn't have to make hard choices, which he will have to make a few before the end of the episode, that's for sure.
He will. We also get a glimpse in the initial opening scenes of his illness and the sore that he has on his back. Yeah,
I wrote down somewhere in my notes, one of these many scribbled pages, death by 1,000 cuts.
I wrote down tetanus.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. That is definitely an issue. But it makes you wonder because like this chair, and it's very sharp. It's got lots of little sharp bits on it and he keeps getting cut. And I've just often wondered if other rulers had the same issue.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be cleanly.
No. I mean, he just let his blood drip down the side of the arm there and, didn't even give it a wipe. Hygiene, people. Hygiene.
There's no hand gel.
We took his hand sanitizer by the Iron Throne. Absolutely. Viserys comes across as a bit indecisive and weak-willed, I will say. I'm not to like an extreme level. He knows how to play the part.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows how to act assertive, but I think if he can avoid decisions, he will.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Whereas Otto Hightower is the complete opposite, isn't he?
Absolutely.
His character is manipulative. Yep.
I wrote Otto is sly.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I wrote down about him. He is so sly. He is devious. He's always playing an angle. I don't take anything that man says at face value. No. I'm like, what is your plan here? Every single time.
We also have Rhaenys and Corlys.
Yes, they're fabulous. They're very cool.
Yeah.
At this point. I feel Corlys, the way he's sitting back in his chair, you can see when things are annoying him, but you can also see him keeping that deadpan, straight face and going, okay, we're moving on, are we? Right, we don't want to talk about my thing anymore. I accept that. But he's hiding those emotions. He's very, very cool.
Yeah.
And when did we first meet Rhaenys at the tournament, I believe. Yeah. Apart from the council, the Great Council meeting. But the first time we hear her dialogue, and straight away she's like, he said, what did she say there? Actually, I clipped that. Let's play that, we see.
And the day grows ugly.
This is how we should celebrate the birth of our future king. With wanton violence.
It's been 70 years since King Maegor's end. These nights are as green as summer grass. None have known real war.
Green as grass, that's it.
Their lord sent them to the tourney field with fists full of steel and balls full of seed. And we expect them to act with honour and grace. It's a marvel that war didn't break out at first blood.
Yeah, I love that introduction. That was really cool. She's just like, yeah. In all honesty, they're just not impressed with the whole situation at all, are they? They're just there doing their thing. And you could just tell by the mannerisms and the way they're chilled back and everything with the drink in hand. Yep. They're just like, well, if you can't beat them, get pished. Definitely. But Carla seems a lot more serious than her. She seems a little bit more laid back, but he's still cool in his own right.
Yeah, I think he's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like never at any time did that face give anything away. Like even right at the end when he's pledging his fealty to Rhaenyra, I didn't see anything on it. There was
no, and I mean inside he must be like,
yeah, but he hid it well. I mean, there was a little flash in the eyes, but the face was deadpan. Yeah, it was totally so cool characters. Who else have we got? Oh, we got Sir Harold Westerling at the beginning. My dear Graham McTavish. Honestly, the second I saw him, I was like, yes, Graham. I love him. A good, solid Scottish actor. Gotta love him.
I saw him at Comic-Con last year. He was fantastic.
Oh, he's such a cool guy. Him and Sam Hewn from Outlander have this show on Amazon. It's Men in Kilts.
All right.
They're just going around Scotland and doing different things. It's like a tour of Scotland. 1 week they'll be doing Highland dancing and another week they'll be sampling whiskey. You can imagine that one went down quite fun. But yeah, and he's just himself in that. He's just a fun guy. But I always find amusing as though everything I've seen him in, he's got this thick Scottish accent. But when you hear him with his own accent, he is Scottish.
But not that Scottish.
It's very well spoken.
Oh,
it's very well spoken Scottish. Whereas he's speaks like a real Highlander in both Outlander and this.
I have to say, I didn't speak to him at Comic-Con because I was in the queue for an autograph from John Rhys Davies. Gimli from Lord of the Rings. So I was in this queue and Graham McTavish was beside him he had a shorter queue.
Oh.
And I just kept looking over thinking, oh, I love him. He's fab. Why is his queue not bigger? Why did they put him next to Gimli with the big queue?
Yeah.
That's somewhere else.
Sad. Sorry, folks. We're going to have to go off on a tangent here because I got so into House of the Dragon, I completely forgot that we need to talk about Emma's weekend at Comic-Con. So, tell us what happened.
Comic-Con was amazing. I was at Liverpool. And
excellent.
All of the Lord of the Rings actors were there that could have been there.
Right.
So I got as many autographs as I could. Orlando Bloom sold out in a week, so I did not get Orlando Bloom's autographs, sadly. However, I did meet Elijah Wood for the second time.
Yay!
He's adorable.
Oh, that's so
cute. He had a little cardi on and he's my fave. He's so sweet. What a lovely person he is.
Oh.
So I got his autograph in my Lord of the Rings book. I also got Billy Boyd's autograph.
Nice.
He's a lovely guy as well. Really, really nice. Dominic Monaghan is hilarious.
Oh, I love him in everything.
I said to him, he said, do you want me to write your name? And I said, no, if you could just do it in this format, because there's a format for it now.
Okay.
John Rhys Davies had set the precedent.
Right, okay, so they all must do it the same way now.
Sign your name, sign your character from Lord of the Rings, then if you could put the place and the date, that would be fab. So Dominic Monaghan's like, I don't know what the date is. What's the date? And I was like, dude, it's the 4th of May.
It's
like,
Star Wars Day, man. You're
you.
in Geek Central and it's on Star Wars Day and you don't know the date.
He went, is it?
Oh, brilliant.
I was like, yeah, dude. So he wrote on my book, May the 4th be with you. I'm just blown away.
Oh,
so Mary has written in my book, May the 4th be with you.
That's fabulous.
So who else was there? Sean Astin was there.
Oh, right.
He was also sold out, so he's going to be at Comic-Con in October, so I'll get his one then.
Oh, right. I'll be right there with you for that one.
Sad part is, though, Bernard Hill was supposed to be there and he sadly passed away on Sunday. He was King Theoden.
Oh, no, he didn't.
He did.
Oh, that's so sad.
So rest in peace, Bernard Hill. He was a fantastic actor.
He certainly was, yes.
And condolences to his family. I'm sure he'll be sadly missed. And sadly missed as an actor.
Yeah, definitely. Lord of the Rings fans all over the world are
saying a silent goodbye.
Absolutely.
To King Theoden once again. Miranda Otto was also supposed to be there, but I think she had filming commitments. She was Éowyn.
Right.
I am no man.
That's the one. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, fabulous. So you had a fab time then?
It was absolutely amazing. Loved it. There was so many other cool things there. There was the car from Supernatural. We waited 45 minutes in a queue for my friends to get a picture
Impala.
taken. Baby.
Oh my God, I love that car. I want that car.
So many cool people. Do you know that they had
cosplay? 5 different cars when they were making that. Some of them had 2 doors, some of them had 4.
Yeah, the one that we seen had 4 doors, but there was a lady in the queue in front of us and her friend has one with 2 doors and she showed us pictures and this woman was fab. If you ever listen to our podcast, lady, you were fab. She was coming out of the queue and telling people, don't cut in, and she was great. She was like, where's the microfiber cloth for the door? There's fingerprints on it. She was like, no one ever sit on it. She was awesome. I love this woman.
Excellent. I just gotta love that. When you're standing queuing, you need,
Absolutely. The girl behind us was like, is there any weapons in the boot? And we're like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, damn, I should have brought my angel blade.
Oh, that's awesome.
Comic-Con's the best place in the world.
Totally. Oh, I can't wait to go in September with you. I mean, Liverpool is a wee bit far away for me. But
Eggleston, here we come.
Eggleston, here we come. I can't wait. But that's in September, so we'll get back to you then with some news. In the meantime, let's
come back to Cast of the Dragon.
We talked about our initial opinions of characters. the set and the CGI at the beginning. Wow. So what was it? The first real story, I suppose, that we get into is Daemon and the Gold Cloaks. Wow, that was pretty intense.
It was intense. And he had 2,000 men.
Yes.
Didn't seem like 2,000 in the scenes. But
it didn't. No.
I mean, it was...
some of them would have been on, the day shift.
Very, very close to the book and the acts that they were carrying out. Because they were ridding the city of rapists and murderers and thieves.
Yes.
So people were being cut down left, right and centre. I think in my notes, I've called him Daemon, Lord of Flea Bottom. Because that is what the small folk called him.
That is exactly what they called him,
But his men were absolutely loyal to him and completely fueled by him. I've got, in my notes here, I've got fuck people up in the streets.
Well,
okay.
that is exactly what they did. I mean, it was indiscriminate. They were just knocking people over.
Yeah.
They weren't taking names. They weren't reading rights. They weren't,
Well, they were chopping off ball sacks and hands.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the balls.
I mean, what was that? We're going to be very honest and say we had to put that back a couple of times because it was difficult to distinguish what part of the body that was. It was a bit of a blob.
A blob of fleshiness. I'm assuming it was supposed to be testicles. It was, it was like, I don't want it. I don't even know how to describe it. All I know is that there was like a little bit of sweat on there. It was glistening in the light. That just made it look even more creepy. One of the things that stood out for me in that scene, though, was when it was so simple. It's just a tiny little thing, but it just shows you what an absolute nerd I am for this stuff. It was that moment when he lifts up Dark Sister and the ringing of the sword going through the air. It gave me chills. It made me all nostalgic and just made me think about, Visenya wielding Dark Sister. And this is the one of two Valyrian steel swords that the Valyrians have. Mm-hmm. So we've got Blackfire is the main one, which we see Viserys with later on when he's sitting on that throne, being all imposing to Daemon, trying to look authoritative with his sword.
He was just fuming, really.
He was raging. We'll get to that later, though. But yeah, so Dark Sister is Daemon's sword, and that sound that was ringing through the air. So that actually brings me to one of the things that we discovered in our intro research was that there was 227 pieces of Valyrian steel. And this episode immediately made me wonder whether they were all weapons because of that necklace.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder how much of the other Valyrian steel that's kicking around is not in the form of weapon.
I wonder if it's armour.
Well, we know that Euron Greyjoy was wearing Valyrian steel armour. I can't remember if that was the book or the show. No. I honestly can't remember. That's another, the bits where the books meet the show, I can't, it just messes me up. What was it in the last episode? Oh, it was whether or not Tyrion used the tunnels.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something that's going to keep coming up. And I'm like, I don't know if it was the book or the show, but this happened. But Euron had an entire suit of armor, certainly a chest plate, at least, that was Valyrian steel. And I don't know if that's maybe one of the 227 pieces or whether Euron had melted down lots of Valyrian steel to make that armour. That's unclear. But that would be disappointing to know all those, that there was other swords and stuff out there that was just being totally melted down. Because I don't know why I feel sentimentally attached to the Valyrian steel. I don't know why. I think I have ever since they melted down ice. Ned Stark's great sword in the first season. That made me, or was it the beginning of the second season maybe? I think it was the beginning of the second season. But when they melted down, I've never been so sad for an inanimate object in my life as I was for that sword. And ever since then, I've just been fascinated with the stuff. I was always convinced that Valyrian steel was going to save the day anyway. That was it. So where were we? So that was the gold cloaks. Yeah, that scene was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
We have a scene after the gold cloaks where the council are having a right good moan about Daemon's behaviour. And Daemon's a cheeky monkey, isn't he?
Let me get my notes on this page. So we've got this first small council meeting. And Daemon, this was the second one actually.
Yeah.
Where Daemon was waiting on. So the first small council meeting is just really meet the characters, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You've got Carlos Velaryon, Otto Hightower, Lyman Beesbury, Lionel Strong, and Grand Maester Melis. And they're talking about pirates. The Corlys is talking about the crab feeder, and no one is listening to him at all. And then they start talking about the tourney costs, and it's just politics, isn't it? This is the sort of stuff we were talking about. Viserys someone else just make the decisions. He's just like, do we have to? But that second meeting, Daemon, winding up all. I can see the way you're glancing down there that you've got a note there that you want to give on that matter. So carry on. The floor is yours.
I just love his smirky attitude, and he's just... His brother Viserys says to him, look, just go back to your wife, just behave, essentially.
Yes.
And Otto Hightower says, well, I think you should do that. And Daemon's like, no, your wife's passed away. You can have my bronze bitch if you like.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then he goes on about how the sheep are prettier than the women, and he says that they're all fucking sheep in the Vale, and he's so cheeky.
It's the smirk on his face. It's the way he's looking at him the whole time.
Well, he's supposed to be getting a telling off about chopping people's bits off in the street, and he's just like,
But he's pulling that face from the second they walk in the room. He's like, already, before even a word's been uttered, he's all right, come on then, give it to me. Come on, give me my telling off. He's got an answer for everything, though. He really does. And he did justify his actions, if you ask me. I mean...
He did, and Viserys ends up... I don't know how he does it, but Otto Hightower has to sort of apologise.
He kind of did, yeah.
Daemon's like,
Nah. It's very much like that. Oh, definitely. So the small council, I feel like there's it's unbalanced.
Yeah.
None of these people really get along. None of them really agree with each other. None of them particularly like each other. I think this is the first moments that we actually see any sort of expressions from Corlys Velaryon. And again, he hides them very well. But you can just see that he's just like, these people are twats. He really does. He's like, it's Beesbury and Lionel Strong, and he gives him, and Otto as well. There's just little looks that he's like, all right then, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah, because he's probably thinking, you are in my position. I would be hand of, the Queen, if his wife was in Viserys' position.
King consort.
Yeah, or if it had passed to one of his children.
Yeah.
So he's right miffed and he's holding it in.
He certainly is, but he accepts the vote as it was, that Viserys is the ruler. He was the one that was chosen, and
absolutely. And I think it's a case of keep your enemies close.
That too. I mean, that 20-1 vote kind of sealed it for them. They knew when the vote came back like that, they knew there was no fighting against that. There's no, let's have a recount. There's no recount when the numbers are that staggering. So yeah, Corlys is, he's playing all his cards really close to his chest, but there's just tiny little moments that you can just see that he's like, very little time for these people. He's just doing his duty.
Yeah.
And as master of ships, his duty is quite important. Lord of the Tides.
The three stake.
He's got many titles, doesn't he? He's got almost as many titles as the king. Certainly does. So, the next big storyline
It's just your tournament, I think, doesn't it?
was the tourney. Absolutely. So, love the arena.
The arena's fantastic.
So cool.
Yeah.
Something that we never saw. We saw
Did we
a
see,
tournament.
Yeah, I thought
There was
there something where Joffrey Baratheon is at a tournament, and
very first season, and I remember.
Is that when Sansa's first sent, and she's sitting there, and there's the tournament, and Ned Stark's there, and
yes,
yeah,
and Littlefinger's sitting whispering in her ear,
yeah.
And Arya's eavesdropping because she's sitting next to her and she's like, "Why? What's he saying?" So she's fascinated by it all. But so we saw that tournament, but we never got that kind of shot.
Again,
there's that aerial shot that
and it's given at this time in history there was such grandeur.
Yes, it was very much in its glory.
Yeah,
at that time. So that was the first thing that stood out to me was the actual arena itself. I thought it was fabulous.
Daemon's armor stood out for me. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, it was,
his
wasn't
helmet
it?
with the wings. It was
very,
really cool.
Very cool. In Targaryen colours, red and black.
Very fitting of a prince.
Absolutely. I love that Daemon just comes in and he's like, "I'll take my pick of who." That must be his right as being the prince and everything. He gets to choose who he gets to fight first, but it's the swagger on her.
It's the choosing Otto Hightower's son that kills me off.
Yeah, absolutely. and then he gets Alicent's favour again. Just and all the while he just keeps smirking at him. Every now and then he just casts his eyes up to him, gives him a little smirk.
He's a rat bag.
He totally is. It's like he's made it his life's mission to just wind that guy up.
Yep.
And rightly so, the guy's a dick. He's a dick. We see Christian Cole for the first time in this scene.
Yep.
He's quite an imposing fighter. He certainly was the talk of the bay.
He was, and it ends up just him and Daemon.
It does, yeah. That is a bit of a... that was a bit of a shit show.
So what did you think of the whole Daemon and Christian Cole fight scene running alongside Emma giving birth and all of that sort of together as one scene?
I thought that was absolutely fabulous direction, and the reason is it comes down to something Emma Aaron said in her opening scene with Rhaenyra. I'm going to play the scene for you and then I'm going to explain to you why I love this.
Cool.
Did you sleep?
I slept.
How long?
I don't need mothering, Rhaenyra.
Well, here you are, surrounded by attendants, all focused on the babe. Someone has to attend to you.
You will lie in this bed soon enough, Rhaenyra. This discomfort is how we serve the realm.
I'd rather serve as a knight and ride to battle in glory.
We have royal wounds, you and I. The childbed is our battlefield.
We must learn to face it with a stiff lip. Now take a bath. You stink of dragon.
So apart from that funny line at the end, the dialogue there is quite serious. And the reason it makes me think back to this when you talk about that scene is what she's saying is the childbed is our battlefield. And you've got this labour going on and you've got this fighting going on. And it's the juxtaposition of putting those two things side by side. So they're so different and yet so similar. She's going through her battle while the outside, the men are doing their kind of battle.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant direction. And You've got this tense music building up during the fight with Christian and Daemon. In fact, even that tense moment just before they start jousting and Daemon's horse is rearing back and the music's building and the drums are going and it's getting more and more intense, and the build up. And then there's the screaming and everything. We're back in the childbirth scene again. Yeah. And there's the screaming and then back to the fighting. And then there's just that moment where the music changes and it goes really somber and melancholy. And you've just got this violin that's just playing this slow, heartbreaking melody. And then the cello comes in, and you know how they love a cello. Yeah. It just brings you right back into and the scene was just, it was brutal. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was really hard to watch.
But the comparison between the two scenes being played together was just, it blew me away. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. But let's just focus in on Emma for a second, because, wow, that was something else. That scene just, it broke me. It really did. I mean, she's really struggling. The labour's obviously not going well, and then the maester starts discussing C-section. But not like the C-section I had.
No.
When I had a C-section, they just went, oh, right, we're going to have to, like have an emergency cesarean here. And we're just going to have to knock you out. And I'm like, yeah, no bother. So they knocked me out. And then I wake up and they're like, here's your baby. And, it was the easiest labour ever. They'd stitched me up and there was no blood anywhere to be seen. I just had a new baby. But without the help of modern medicine, it was a fatal choice.
A choice made by Viserys. She had no idea what was coming to her.
Well, I wrote down here, I do not consent. She made that very clear. She did not consent.
No, I mean, it was a murder.
It was murder. I wrote that too. Murder.
Yeah.
Broke my heart. And I'd just like to add for the listeners, when I watched this for the first time, my baby was about 3 weeks old and my stitches were still healing. It was kind of like a wee bit too familiar. It was just really made me think about modern medicine.
Yeah.
And just how far we've come. And it made me think, if it wasn't for modern medicine, me and my baby wouldn't be here. And so...
Makes you thankful, doesn't it?
It makes you very, very thankful for my little girl. And my own life as well. But yeah, I mean, like, what stood out? What notes have you got for that scene?
I mean, as amazing as the scene was, there's little bits. I don't know why I noticed these really odd little bits. I think I try and find humour in things that are terrifying.
Yep, that sounds like you.
But, I mean, right in the middle of all this, there's like horrifying screams and swords clashing and a horse is cut down and...
Oh, the horse.
And then there's this little boy vomiting.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Weirdly, my attention focused on the little boy vomiting at the horror of what he was witnessing.
Oh, God.
And also, I thought it was quite funny that Daemon's totally like, yeah, I've won. And then he gets sneak attacked by Kristen Cole and put on his butt.
He absolutely did. What did I write here? Oh, yeah. Kristen gets Daemon from behind. And Daemon's just cheating away. But yeah, he just sneaks up at him and then, do you yield? Daemon's like, I suppose I'm going to have to now. I totally kicked your ass, though.
And then for all his cheek, Kristen Cole goes and asks Rhaenyra for her favour.
I know. The books, it was always...
Karma!
Yeah. And the books, it was always like Kristen... the Rhaenyra had the crush on Kristen.
Yeah.
But they've certainly showed that in a different light here, where that's him making the first move. She didn't even know who he was. And she never even took a look at him until 2 seconds before he asked for her favour. So, yeah, painting things in a slightly different light to how they were portrayed to be, or how I interpreted them in the book. But that's one of the things about the book, though, is that they, especially around the Dance of the Dragons, they make it very clear before they get into that story that there are 2 accounts of this time, and they're often opposing and completely different. You've got the Septon. The Septon is one of them, and the other one was the court jester.
Oh, Mushroom,
that's right. And Mushroom's versions of events are always a little bit more sordid. It's one of those things that we, from the book, you assume something, but you're also often reminded, don't take it at face value. This is just one person's account of this story.
Yeah, I think in the books they say that a lot of it has been discussed in secret passageways and locked doors.
Yes, and during illicit dealings and that sort of thing. So yeah, they definitely have... I think that's good because it gives them room to embellish, to go off story slightly and say, well, this is what Mushroom said happened. This is what Septon, what's-his-face, said happened. And this is the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what House of the Dragon is supposed to be, the truth. So I'll be interested to see how the truth unfolds as we get further along. So where does that bring us to?
There's a little bit at the end of that scene where, Emma's, she's gone and Viserys, the baby's here, and they say, have you picked a name for him? Bless him, he's in tears and he's like, Balon. Which
was his father's name?
Was it his father or his uncle?
His father.
Was it his father?
Yeah, he's the second one. It was Rhaenyr's dad was an Aemon.
Right.
Aemon. And Balon was Viserys and Daemon's father. So yeah, he was named after his father, which is kind of heartbreaking.
It is, and he's waited all this time for an heir, and he loves his wife, and then they're both gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it cuts to the funeral scene.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah, that scene was moving. I would love to play the audio of that conversation between Rhaenyra and Daemon, but it was in High Valyrian, so there's not much we can do about that. But she is just so angry and sad and angry and sad. And you just see all these emotions going through her. And she's stalling.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you got written for that scene?
I've just got Dracarys written.
Dracarys. I've got angry Dracarys. Because just before she tries to say it and she gets choked up. And then she looks at Viserys. And she looks at him for it's not just a glance. She's staring at him as if to say, look at me, see me, comfort me, be there with me. And he doesn't even cast her a glance. And then she just turns around so angry. Dracarys. She is raging. I thought it was very moving. Very, very moving. And of course, there's the lighting of the pyre. I love the way they use the dragon in that sort of ceremonial things to do that. It was a very, very moving scene. So I suppose the main theme from this point onwards was about the succession.
Yeah.
It was the theme throughout the entire episode, to be fair. It opens talking about the succession. They argue about it a little bit in the middle. Let's talk about that, actually. That small council meeting, that last one, where they're trying to make Viserys decide who's next in line after he's just lost Emma.
Yeah. And again, it's Otto Hightower that's fueling it all.
He's orchestrated that in that meeting. That's him. He's got his little plans in place already.
He has, and I love that Daemon's eavesdropping.
Yeah, yeah, he was just hiding around. He's like laughing at the bad things that he say about him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, obviously got under your skin then. He loves to wind him up. It's so funny.
It's Corlys that suggests Rhaenyra at that meeting.
He does. And then when they dismiss the idea of Rhaenyra, he's like, well, there are other claimants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they see their shrine. Yeah, so... But that was not his first suggestion. His first suggestion was Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
And they dismissed that just out of hand, just purely based on the fact that she's a girl. But it was debated slightly. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, that is a precedent. That doesn't mean we have to do it.
Yeah.
Just because the precedent was set doesn't mean that you can't change it. You're king if you want to change that. And I suppose that's what he decides to do. But not straight away. Straight away, he's like, why are you bothering me with this? My wife and son are dead, and you are bothering me with this shit. There's plenty of people to go around. They're all arguing for the throne. So at the end of the day, it can wait a fucking week.
Well, he deals with his guilt because he murdered her.
It was. That is definitely guilt.
Guilt and grief.
Guilt, of course. He loved her. That was very, very clear that he loved her.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention, actually, was Emma's connection to the family as well, because she was a cousin.
Yeah.
So the youngest daughter of Jaehaerys and Alazan was Emma's mother. Mm-hmm. So she was just as much Targaryen as the rest of them, although much further down those ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when they've had 13 kids and many grandkids, it's like, just let the people at the top argue about that. So yeah, they're arguing about Daemon not being worthy. Corlys suggests Rhaenyra, then he suggests Rhaenys. And then there's that whole conversation about the heir for a day, which kind of triggered some anger. Some anger.
Oh my God, Viserys was super pissed off.
Oh, big time. Oh, I actually have that. I clipped that bit. Let's have a listen.
You have no allies at court but me. I have only ever defended you. Yet everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face.
You've only ever tried to send me away to the Vale, to the City Watch. Anywhere but by your side. 10 years you've been king, and yet not once have you asked me to be your hand.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm your brother. And the blood of the dragon runs thick.
Then why do you cut me so deep?
I've only ever spoken the truth. I see Otto Hightower for what he is.
An unwavering and loyal
A
hand.
cunt. A second son who stands to inherit nothing he doesn't seize for himself.
Otto Hightower is a more honourable man than you could ever be.
He doesn't protect you. I would.
From what?
Yourself.
Yeah, that was tense. Wow. I love that line though. He's a cunt. Absolutely brilliant. I know it says that word does not get used in TV a lot.
No, and when it does, that instance, it was in the right place.
It was in the right place. I am a fan of the word, but
I have no
only in the right context. There is a time and a place, and that was one of them. My other favourite would be Lady Olenna in Game of Thrones when she's with Jaime talking about Joffrey. And he's like, what was his sword called again? And he's like, Widow's Wail. He really was a cunt, wasn't he? Perfect. So yeah, the word has its place, and that was it. He certainly is. So where were we?
We were where Viserys has just attempted to go through Daemon like a dose of salts and tell him to piss off back to Runestone. Yeah,
because can we just talk about that scene in the brothel for a minute? So I can't even use this language. I don't even know what to say. Right, okay. So, they're in a brothel and there's fucking and sucking going on all over the place. And one of Damon's lads is like, listen to your prince. And everybody stops what they're doing. But the bit that got me is while the speech is going on, in the background, right in the centre of the shot, it's two people, the girl's on all fours with the guy behind her, and they've just turned around, stopped mid-thrust, and they've just stopped in the middle of the room to listen to this speech.
It's dedication.
Absolutely. But I find it really hard to listen to this speech because I just clocked these guys in the middle of the room and I couldn't stop laughing. I find it really hard to take the whole scene seriously after that. So, they're I'm sorry. I can't stop. Oh, that was definitely one of those standout moments for me that just, made me laugh. Is there anything, and you got any notes from that scene?
Weirdly, no. And I also missed that.
Did you? Oh, it's so funny. I will show you that scene before you leave. Go back and watch it, guys, if you didn't see it yourself. I'm still, honestly, there's tears and everything here. I can't stop. Oh, that's too much. Right. So I feel that more or less wraps up the main plot lines of the episode. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be back soon.
And now it's time for the dragon section.
I know there wasn't obviously much dragon play in the first episode, but we got a little bit at the beginning.
We did. We had lovely side acts.
Oh, that dragon flight scene was something else, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
The dragon itself as well. She's, I don't know, male, female dragon, unclear. Some of them I know Vhagar's definitely female because there was reference to her laying eggs and.
Oh, of course,
in the book, yeah. So I know Vhagar's definitely female, but I'm not sure about all of them.
Balerion, he's a dude, isn't he?
He was definitely a dude. Oh, we saw Balerion's skull as well. That thing.
That was awesome. It was huge.
It's so big. Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen it, obviously. We saw it in that first season of Game of Thrones. Then Arya was snooping in the basement.
It's fantastic how imposing it still looks, even though he's not alive.
No, but you get
it's still terrifying.
How big he must have been. Oh, he's definitely the biggest and baddest. I really do hope we get that Aegon the Conqueror spin-off. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Its glory. It's going to be cool. But
we had that lovely moment at the end with Daemon and Caraxes, and he's giving Caraxes a wee cuddle.
Oh, yeah, that was lovely.
It was lovely. Big bad dragon, bad Daemon Targaryen, and he's having this really intimate moment with his dragon.
Yeah, and I think that was really nice to see, actually. We saw the same thing with Rhaenyra at the beginning when she came back from her flight. There was just this bonding moment. And I think that's important. I'd maybe not thought about it enough, actually. The bond between the dragons and the riders.
Absolutely. It's not just anyone that can get on a dragon. So there is that being at one with each other, which is lovely.
Definitely. It's a whole new level of bonding with your horse. Definitely. Oh, so there was Caraxes and the cuddle, and that was lovely. Balerion's giant skull and that bit with Syrax at the beginning, the flight scheme, but not a lot more dragon.
No, that's as much dragon teasing as we got, I'm afraid. But it's episode 1, so
and we got the dragon teasing in the first opening scene.
Yeah.
So that satisfied all my dragon needs right in the beginning of the show.
It's good that it opened with dragon and ended with dragon. So,
I never noticed that actually until you pointed it out.
yeah, I think there's a big dragon roar at the end.
Yes, there definitely was right at the end of that scene that we're locked on that shot of Rhaenyra and the music playing out. I actually wanted to talk about that actually. Might as well now that the conversation has flowed that way. The music at the end, it was the Game of Thrones theme, but with a choir.
Yeah.
I love that. And obviously the language that the choir is singing in is High Valyrian again. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
It was like to see a new twist on the Game of Thrones theme. Ramin Djawadi, who obviously wrote the track, is absolutely fantastic. But I love it when something gets...
when it comes around full circle and is used again and it all kind of ties together.
Yeah.
Genius.
Actually, Outlander do that really well. So every season of Outlander has got a different... they've revamped the tune, which is Speed Bonnie Boat.
Okay.
When there's a French one, there's a very French version of it.
Oh, cool.
When they're in America, we get the country version. Then we're back in Scotland and we've got a Gaelic version.
Oh, lovely.
It's beautiful. The amount of, so they were on like seasons 8 now, I think. So we've had 8 different versions of the theme song every season.
I'll have to check that out.
I suppose that's pretty much us. What we've got about dragons. So let's move on to notes. Before we go into notes, actually, I've got some of the funny lines from the episode.
Oh, yeah, let's do the funny lines.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, Westerling, right at the beginning with, obviously, that scene with Rhaenyra and Cyrax. He's like, I trust your ride was pleasant. She's like, try not to look too relieved, sir. He's like, I am relieved. Every time that golden beast brings you back unspoiled, saves my head from a spike. And the words themselves aren't that funny. It's his delivery.
Yeah.
And it's very... He talks like my granddad. And I love him. He's amazing. What else have we got? So, the first small council meeting. Rhaenyra, you're late. The king's cupbearer must not be late. It leaves people wanting for cups. I was visiting mother, says Rhaenyra. And he gives a wee sniff. On Dragonback.
You stink.
Absolutely. I think our mum mentions the fact that she stinks as well. Then the scene, she's like, now go take a bath. You reek of dragon. Rhaenyra, when she's with Alicent and when they're studying, says, I want to fly with you on Dragonback, see the wonders across the narrow sea and eat only cake. I'm being serious, says Alicent. I never jest about cake.
Yeah, that was a good line.
I like that. And then a moment later, it's when she's ripped the book and Alice is like, if the Septa sees this, she's like, fuck the Septa.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, she's good. The Emma Arryn, when her scene with Viserys when she was in the bath.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, the tourney to celebrate the firstborn that we presently do not have. You do understand that nothing will cause the babe to grow a cock if he doesn't already possess one. Oh, she's cool. It's a shame. We were not going to get more of her. And then there's another one when he tells her about his dream about the babe being born wearing a crown. And she's like, born wearing a crown? God spare me. Birth is unpleasant enough as it is.
She's not wrong.
Oh, definitely. What else have I got now? Daemon at the small council meeting where he's being told off for the gold cloaks. And he says, our city should be safe for all its people. Viserys is like, I agree. I just hope you don't have to maim half my city in order to achieve this. Daemon says, time will tell.
Oh, dear.
I like that. And it's the little smirk on his face after he says it. It's like, time will tell. Wink, wink. That was funny. And Westerling again. At the tourney, when Rhaenyra says to him, what do you know about this Sir Criston Cole? He says, I'm told Sir Criston's the common-born son of Lord Dondarrion, the steward. But other than that, and the fact that he's just unhorsed both of the Baratheon lads, I really couldn't say. that delivery with him is, it's that I think that's Scottish humour. It's just that dry.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. He jokes, he talks, he sounds like my granddad. He jokes like my granddad. I love him. Oh, right. So where are we? So that was, that's all I've got. You got any more in your notes that I missed?
No, I don't. I think you've captured them all.
Excellent. So let's move on to notes. What other notes have you got there to wrap up?
The introduction of Myceria, the white worm. So she's sort of introduced as a sex worker, isn't she, in the brothel?
Yeah, definitely.
But she seems very cunning, doesn't she?
Well, yeah, I find that like she's obviously a wee bit more than just...
Yeah, she's worked her way in with Daemon, because by the end of the episode, she's with Daemon, having that wee moment with Caraxes, and he's like...
As Daemon's
introducing
leaving,
her introducing her to Caraxes, and it's going well. She's working her way up, isn't she?
She certainly is. She's worming her way in.
Yeah.
I mean, is it love? Who knows? But, yeah.
Possibly for Daemon.
It might be. Certainly, he's more attracted to her than the woman he's married to, who's apparently less pretty than a sheep. She's an interesting character to watch going forward. I don't think I paid her much attention at the beginning before.
Yeah, I think for me it was the moment where he's introducing her to the dragon. That's, you think, all right, okay, she's not just a whore in a tavern.
I think the first time I watched it, when it first aired, I don't even think I saw the scene, obviously, but I don't think I thought anything of it. I was more just thinking, dragon. You know? So,
oh, well, you know me.
I don't remember
having
her.
A lovely moment and thinking, why is she there?
Yeah, definitely.
Always suspicious.
Oh, you've got to watch them all. Everybody's shady in this show. Definitely. So, any others?
No, I think we've covered everything apart from her. She seems like one to watch.
Right. So, let me see. What else have I got in my notes? Oh, the conversation between Rhaenyra and Daemon that was in High Valyrian in the throne room.
Right, okay.
I went back and had another wee look at that to see what had been said. She said, why did you come back? And he's like, I heard your father was throwing a tourney for me. And she's like, no, the tourney's for his new heir. And he's like, well, until your mother brings forth a son, you're all cursed with me. And she's like, I'll pray for a brother then. I love that scene. So yeah, I had missed that off my wee funny lines note because I wrote it down somewhere else. So yeah, that was cool. We talked about those dragons. Do you know, actually, here's something. Rhaenyra, she really reminds me of Arya.
Yeah, I would agree.
There's so much in common. She knows that story about Nymeria and her ships like the back of her hand. I imagine Nymeria is probably one of her heroes too. Emma had said to Viserys when they were in the bathtub that Rhaenyra had already named the baby. She was insistent that she was going to be a girl, and that she was naming her Visenya. I was like, so Rhaenyra's obviously a Visenya fan as well. But that speech at the beginning about wanting to fly on dragonback and she wanted to fight in battles, and she really, really reminded me of Arya. So I wanted to give a wee mention to that. Have I got anything else here? One of the other meetings, when Daemon's listening in to the conversation between Otto and Viserys, and Otto's implying that Daemon aspires to be king. Viserys is like, he lacks the patience for it. And I wrote the quote here that Otto's reply was, the gods are yet to make a man who lacks the patience for absolute power, your grace.
True story. But I think he's talking about himself more than Daemon.
Yeah, I think he could be onto something there, actually. He also says in that conversation that it would be like a second Maegor. I think that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, you can see, though, the fear that they would have had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Maegor was...
And Viserys is very sort of Aenys vibes, isn't he?
Yeah, that's that kind of dynamic.
He's a kind of nice
actually.
guy, and, and Daemon's total Maegor vibes.
That's, I think, the way they're trying to play it off. It's like this Aenys and Maegor thing all over again. But I don't think Daemon's quite, as bad as Maegor, to be fair. No. But certainly, I can see why. The fear might be there, but when it comes to Otto, again, I don't trust anything he says. I don't take anything he says at face value. So I'm hearing him say that, and I don't feel someone being cautious and wary. I feel someone is like, he's trying to manipulate because he doesn't like Daemon. No,
he absolutely has it in his head that Daemon's a dick.
Well, yes, to him. Well, actually, probably for more reasons than just that. But certainly in Hightower's perspective.
Oh, 1,000,000%. He's just sat through that tournament watching Daemon take the utter piss out of him and his families, and then ask his daughter for a favour, and.
Yeah, he's cheeky, isn't he? I do not blame Otto Hightower for his feelings towards Daemon. But I don't blame Daemon for his feelings towards him either.
No, but you can see how Otto spent his whole career, if you will, being a great man and making good decisions. He didn't get to where he was through making rash decisions.
No, certainly.
So he looks at Daemon as a young man who is just going to destroy everything that's ever been built, and it'll be taken back to a time of craziness.
And the time that he's been in the position that he's been in as Hand, in that time since, it was Jaehaerys first that made him Hand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So in that time, it's his work to a certain degree. He'll feel personally attached to the progress and events and things that have happened over those years. And so if Daemon was to come along and undo that, he'd be undoing
his whole life's work. Everything that he's respected for.
Yes.
So you can see every character has a good and bad in George's
I know. I
work.
just don't want to see his good side. Sorry. I don't want to see it. He's a dick.
I think if they cast it as someone else, then I probably would be like, yeah, he's a dick. But I really like Rhys Ifans. So yeah. I kind of warmed to him a bit more than I did in the book.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I haven't got that far into the book yet. He's only really been around for the last chapter because, as you know, I've stopped and I can't read any further ahead because I don't want to spoil for myself. I'm still in this big debate about it, though. I haven't actually decided. Every day I raise the question in my head and go, am I going to read ahead or am I just going to let the visuals play out with this TV show?
I think that's your call.
It is, and it's a hard decision to make. I can't decide. Maybe any of you listeners have got an opinion you can throw in. You might convince me. Who knows? I think that's all my notes. That's. I don't think I've got anything else here. Just callbacks. So, first of all, the opening shots of King's Landing. I mean, that in itself, that's a big callback. Yeah. Straight away, you're right back in Westeros, in the heart of it. So just those scenes, the streets of King's Landing, the aerial shots, massive callbacks to Game of Thrones. Really, really set the mood, I think. And then when they got into the Red Keep, obviously, we saw the visuals of the Red Keep outside, which we discussed earlier as just outstanding. But when they were inside the keep, just the rooms that they walked through were, familiar rooms like that. I don't know what, like atrium kind of room where the floor map used to be. Mm-hmm. And the Game of Thrones one that it was painted on the floor in that room, but obviously minus the map. So that was cool. The staircase, that awesome staircase, the spiral staircase, mm-hmm. where the Hound fought the Mountain, that was amazing to see it. Because I don't think we ever really saw that in Game of Thrones at all prior to their fight
Yeah.
I think their fight was the very first time we really saw this big, massive spiraling staircase. So it was really cool to see that all rebuilt again. And of course, the speech the Viserys gives Rhaenyra at the end.
Yeah.
And the dagger.
Yeah.
Oh, Arya's dagger. It was nice to see that again. That speech, though, I actually have that. Let's drop that in.
There's something else that I need to tell you. Might be difficult for you to understand, but you must hear it. Our histories. They tell us that Aegon looked across the Blackwater from Dragonstone, saw a rich land ripe for the capture. But ambition alone is not what drove him to conquest. It was a dream. And just as Daenerys foresaw the end of Valyria, Aegon foresaw the end of the world of men. Just to begin with a terrible winter, gusting out of the distant north.
Winter is coming.
I, Rickon Stark, Lord of Winterfell.
Aegon saw absolute darkness riding on those winds, and whatever dwells
Kind of
within
feel how they had a
will
Stark
destroy the
speaking
world
there,
of
yeah.
Yeah.
When this great winter comes, Rhaenyra, all of Westeros must stand against it. And if the world of men is to survive, a Targaryen must be seated on the Iron Throne. A king or queen, strong enough to unite the realm against the cold and the dark. Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire. This secret, it's been passed from king to heir since Aegon's
That's where he
time.
shows you the dagger, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Now you must promise to carry it and protect it. Promise me this, Rhaenyra. Promise me.
Oh, that's the best callback ever.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was the whole of what Game of Thrones was about.
Yep.
The entire Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, that was fabulous. It was nice to hear that. So I thought that was the best callback. Absolutely loved that. So that's all my notes. So now it's time to talk about who we lost in this week's episode, because Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, you're going to expect deaths. We're going to expect lots of deaths.
We need a rest in peace session.
We definitely do. So, first of all, we said goodbye to Jaehaerys.
We did.
We saw him in those opening scenes, and well, people that haven't read the books are just like, oh, who's the old dude? Jaehaerys means quite a lot in our hearts.
He's massive.
He is. He was the best. He was a true king, and the realm will miss him. Certainly going into what's about to happen next. His grandchildren and his great-grandchildren are, they're kind of going to undo everything that he worked for, which is sad.
In true Targaryen style.
Yes, absolutely. Alysanne got a mention.
Who's equally as important as Jaehaerys.
Definitely. What was it Viserys said? Was it the kingdom or was it the city has been in decline since my grandmother passed? That's what he said. Something along those lines. It was either the kingdom or the city. And that just, I love that little nod to how Jaehaerys was a shell of himself after Alysanne's passing.
Yeah.
So that was really sad. So it was nice that she got a mention because she was very, very important to the story leading up for Viserys and for Daemon, I suppose, but more for Viserys, I think.
And for advocating a female heir.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, Alysanne was more than a capable leader.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't just queen to a ruling king. They were a partnership.
Yep.
So, yes, the realm will definitely miss Alysanne. And I suppose that brings us to our last bit, baby Balon and Emma Arryn.
That's so sad.
Oh, definitely. That babe that Viserys has wanted for so long. And I don't know, the guilt that he must feel for
the choice that he made.
Yeah. It probably feels like he maybe doesn't even have a right to grieve. Or there'll be, conflicting sides of him. 1 minute he's grieving, the next minute he's beating himself up for grieving because he made some bad choices.
And poor Emma Arryn, the way that she died, oh my goodness.
Oh, I know. It was brutal. She was scared. She was absolutely terrified. And as I said earlier, she did not consent.
No, and she absolutely believed that she was doing her duty.
She definitely did.
And then in her last moments must have been like, shit!
Yeah.
No!
Oh, that moment, the realisation coming across her face of what was about to happen. And she was, it was played absolutely brilliantly. I can't remember the actress's name, actually.
Shan Brooks, I think she's called.
Oh, that's her. She played it absolutely amazing. It was just that second where she suddenly realised, oh my God, he chose the babe over me. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Oh, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. So, I suppose that brings us to the end of our RIP section. And now it's time for the news. I didn't find a lot this week. The first article I found actually was in regards to dragons. So let's get on with that. So George Martin was raving this week about how House of the Dragon redeemed the most egregious mistakes of Game of Thrones, which was the dragons. So let me just read a few quotes here. It says, he had some valid reservations about the dragon's portrayal in the original show, which he believed improved in the prequel series House of the Dragon. According to Martin, Game of Thrones dragons lacked personality and were all too similar to one another. In House of the Dragon, viewers are introduced to a whole new array of dragons as companions of the Targaryen family, each with their own unique traits and quirks. Thus, this gave the creators of Game of Thrones prequel a good opportunity to improve their creature effects at this time. Martin further added, they had personality, they came alive, it came as great satisfaction to me. For Martin, seeing these dragons come to life in such a vibrant and nuanced way was a great satisfaction. He went on to say that he thought the weird as stuff that happened in season 1 was cool. He did, however, voice some regret about not being able to spend more time on the set in the first season. Sadly, I wasn't there for any of this fun. I was in Santa Fe working on his next novel. Oh, well, that's nice to know, George. Been waiting for it for a while. George Martin also disclosed that while on his 2.5-week trip to London, showrunner Ryan Condal provided him with an exclusive sneak peek at the upcoming episodes. He wrote that the highlight of the trip had to be the sneak preview that Ryan gave me of the first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon Season 2. I am so jealous. It is certain that viewers would cry watching these powerful, emotional, gut-wrenching episodes, as Martin further warned his readers. Dark, mind you, very dark. They may make you cry. I did not cry myself, but one of my friends did. Powerful, emotional, gut-wrenching, heart-rending. Just the sort of thing I like. What can I say? I was weaned on Shakespeare and loved the tragedies and history plays best of all. Moreover, the author detailed how he visited the studio where House of the Dragon was being filmed and spent a total of 3 days with the team. I am no stranger to film sets, but nothing I have ever seen can compare with the Red Keep and Dragonstone sets they have built in Leavesden Studios in London. That's awesome. George's endorsement.
Yeah,
because he's not
good.
shy at saying when he doesn't like something.
Yeah.
He's made his points about Game of Thrones quite vocal. Well, like he was saying about the dragons, he thought they were a bit meh.
I kind of agree.
Yeah, in retrospect, I have to agree. Now that, we went back and read about the prequel stuff and know what things were like when there was loads of dragons around and what those dragons were like, it does seem a little bit disappointing what we got in Game of Thrones. Yeah, definitely. So another article that I found was House of the Dragon Season 2 timeline revealed. Interesting. Leave it to Lord Corlys to clue us in on House of the Dragon Season 2 timeline. Actor Steve Toussaint, who plays Lord Corlys, aka the Sneesnake, gave us a major clue regarding the timeline for Season 2 House of the Dragon during a panel at CCXP. Toussaint revealed that Season 2 will begin a mere 10 days after the end of Season 1. This is intriguing news for a series that ambitiously took a massive time jump in Season 1, springing ahead 10 years between Episode 5 and 6. Thanks for that. I was trying to remember where the time jump was. Now I know. Excellent. Joining Toussaint on the panel were Eve Best, who plays Rhaenyra's Targaryen, and Ewan Mitchell, who plays Aemon Targaryen. And each of them spoke about their characters' journeys in the turbulent times ahead as House Targaryen's internal battles increase in intensity. God, that's dramatic writing, isn't it?
Sure is.
After revealing that Season 2 picks up 10 days after Season 1, Toussaint had this to say about Corlys. So for Lord Corlys, he's still coming to terms with the grief of losing his son, his brother, his daughter, and his heir, his grandson. Jesus, he's had a hard time of it.
Yep.
Okay. So he's trying to deal with that, plus hold on to the one thing that he holds most dear, his relationship with his wife. So that's kind of where he is. He's in a very weakened and emotional state.
Oh, bless him.
I know. Eve Best, who plays Lord Corlys' wife Rhaenys, said that Season 2 will find her strong, patient, should have been queen getting a little dragon therapy.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Rhaenys is trying to keep everything together in the light of the horrible loss of Westeros and everything that has been going on for the last 10 days. She's pulling out strength and trying not to lose her shit. And I think she's really tired and out on her dragon a lot. Mellies. As for Ewan Mitchell, his Aemon Targaryen was the catalyst for a lot more bloodshed and will no doubt play a huge role in the carnage to come. Ewan Mitchell said, Aemon kickstarted the Dance of the Dragons and drew first blood by killing Viserys, he said during a panel. He's facing a choice. He can either own what he did, return to King's Landing, and say that he meant to kill Luke and become the most hated man in the realm, or he could admit what he did was a mistake and be at the mercy of Rhaenyra. Oh, he's in trouble. Oops. And the last article that I found here was regarding Aegon. Tom Glencarney says that Aegon will have a much bigger part to play when Season 2 arrives in June. Aegon evolves in Season 2, showing vulnerabilities and complex layers beyond ruling. Tom Glencarney had much to say about how the fledgling ruler will evolve from where he was in Season 1. Specifically, he detailed how viewers will get a more complex view of Aegon going forward that highlights his vulnerable side.
Didn't think you had one.
I didn't see any hint of a vulnerable side, did you?
No.
Season 1's Aegon was notably compared to Jack Gleeson's tyrannical Joffrey Baratheon. Oh, that was a shame for him. That poor guy couldn't go out in public. He was so hated. He said he was done with acting after that.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is, isn't it? Because he was really fab. If you hate someone that much, they're doing their job right.
Yeah, and also, it's not real, guys. It's a story.
Yeah. Although you wouldn't think it the way we've been talking the last couple of episodes. Right. Okay, so where were we? He previously said that rather than ruling with abject cruelty, greed and psychopathy, the king's worst actions are often governed by insecurities, rage, selfishness, and a total lack of understanding of his responsibilities without the guidance of others. It didn't help that his own father, Viserys, Paddy Considine, chose to stick with Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, as his successor, despite the implication that the firstborn son is the rightful heir. Everything adds up to make Aegon a more complex ruler who feels like an outsider in his family. In season 2, however, his layers will be peeled back a bit to just show how unstable he is and expose the thoughts that eat away at him. I think we see a different side, Glencairn said during the panel about Aegon. We see someone who's attempting to take this new responsibility in stride and harness this power in a way that serves him. He's now ruling Westeros alone. We also see how fractured Aegon is as a person, his weakness, his vulnerability, his desperation. Furthermore, he hits on how his disdain for his family and his fractured mindset only serve to make him more of a threat to Rhaenyra and the Blacks. I think when you have nothing to lose, as Aegon has experienced for a long time, that makes somebody quite dangerous. Hell yeah, it does. Although Aegon was largely reluctant to take the throne in season 1, the finale showed that he was beginning to enjoy being in Westeros' seat of absolute power and respect, a feeling that only continues to grow. At the start of season 2, we see Aegon getting used to wearing the crown. He's enjoying how comfortable the Iron Throne is, Glencairn added. He further revealed that the new episodes will then explore the young king getting to grips with what it means to be ruler. Part of that involves eagerly preparing for war with the Blacks. Ooh. I'm so excited. I can't wait. But his primary responsibilities are to the people throughout his kingdom and how they perceive him. Ooh, interesting. So he's vanity then, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what it's about for him. But it's not about who he can be. It's about how the people see him. What people, yeah.
Sad, angry wee boy, isn't he?
He really is. So that's the news. We'll be back next week with hopefully some new information.
Yeah, next episode we'll have some new news for you. New news.
New news. Love that. Well, hopefully. It might just be the same old articles when we have a look.
Very possibly. But we'd like to believe there'll be some new stuff.
I know, we're only a month away from the release of season 2. I'm so excited. We're going to have to get our skates on here.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, no bother. Well, we'll see you all there. Right then, that's our show. Thanks for listening.
We'll be back next time with the second episode, The Rogue Prince.
Ooh, that
like that title.
Interesting.
It does, yeah.
Definitely. I can't remember. It's going to be a Daemon-focused episode, but I would imagine he's the Rogue Prince, I would say.
I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll be interesting.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.
If you want to contact us, you can head over to our website, theunrealhour.com, where you can find links to our Facebook page and Patreon to review, like, follow and subscribe. You can also leave us a voice message that we may use on the show. Finally, you can email us at listenerzone@theunrealhour.com.
If you like what we're doing here and you want to support the show, then you can visit patreon.com/theunrealhour, where you can subscribe for ad-free listening, early access episodes and exclusive content. If you don't want to commit to a monthly subscription, then you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/theunrealhour. All your donations will go back into the show to cover costs and keep the lights on. Once again, thanks for listening. Until next time,
keep it unreal.